We're live. We're alive and we're live. How we doing? This is two guys reselling at our new time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesdays, 1 o'clock Eastern. Pacific, your time, Chris?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So cool. Got that right. It took me a long time over the years talking to you and others in California to really get a hold on the time things. And then I've got a online friend over in Australia. And if you've got online friends that are out in different countries, trying to talk to them every once in a while, it's like, okay, I gotta go Google their time so I know what I'm actually going to get, response back now or response back 8 hours from now, because they might be in bed already or whatever.
Well, it's
time
funny,
zones.
Jeff, it's funny you brought up Australia. You know what makes them special?
What makes Australia special?
Yeah.
Not anything that I can think of, besides all the weird animals.
No, they're below the equator.
Okay.
So they have opposite seasons to us.
That's right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I'm talking to Michael, wintertime is summertime. Yeah. And a lot of times where his part of Australia where he lives at, they get a lot of dry in the summertime, a lot of dry weather.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun talking to him because he'll talk about the animals they have on. I think he lives on some kind of a farm kind of property, but where the animals stay at are called paddocks or paddocks. Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of a barn or gate area or fenced in area or whatever, they're in paddocks. So you hear that in the movies every once in a while, different movies. But we're not here to talk about weather or Australia or all their weird animals over there. We're going to talk today a little bit about reselling and where we can go with reselling maybe in the future, understanding what we have available to us now with eBay and the other platforms versus possibly our own setup. And Chris is an expert in this area as far as building websites and understanding some of the other platforms and how they work. And this whole topic came up for me the other day when I was watching a video, and there was kind of an interview area. It was live, just like we're doing. And they were really breaking down the issues with eBay. The glitches and we're at in our economy, how come sales are where they're at, plus the time of year, that kind of thing. But they're breaking it down from an economic standpoint, and eBay be having some glitches that are causing problems, like, making it difficult for a buyer to actually purchase something sometimes. It's like, okay, this guy wants to buy, so quit making it more difficult. Just let them hit the buy button and they're done. So yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about that, because one of the questions that came up was like, okay, so where do we want to be 5 years from now, if things don't go the way we want with the current platforms? So Chris, I'm going to kind of throw some questions out on the ideas of, and we've talked about this, you've mentioned it many times in our lives, the positive side of being on eBay compared to the biggest negative of building your own site or having a site built for you.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think what's the positive of eBay and where's the negative of your own site?
So basically it all boils down to traffic. Okay.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, exactly. So you could put up your very own site, and if you wanted to do it for like as close to $20 for the whole thing as possible, it's a WordPress site with a shopping cart attached to it. It's basically the cheapest way to do it. It's also the most difficult way to do it because no one's heard of the site. The site's barely getting, what's that word? It's the search bots don't even know it's alive. And
Right.
if people aren't searching for it, and you're not showing daily growth and doing all your proper SEO and promoting it on all your social media channels, you're not getting any traffic whatsoever. You got the store, you're ready to accept payments, you got your stock, you're ready to ship stuff out, but you have no customers. When you jump on eBay, yes, you're going to have to pay some fees. Some of them are monthly, some of them are when you make sales. And it is going to cost more money than just a WordPress site with a free shopping cart attached to it. However, you're going to get a lot more sales way sooner. Like, if you put up something they like, you could make your first sale within hours. Seriously, put up an iPhone. It'll sell within hours, regardless of you being brand new.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Just
yeah.
because iPhones are searched so heavy, and the bots would recognize that you've got one available out there, and show that pretty quick to the
Yep.
potential buyer.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Now, you may, depending on how much your iPhone is worth, because I've even posted like iPhone 3s and they've sold within a day, like boom, gone out the door, no questions, no haggling even. Um,
I'm just
so,
dropping a note on my YouTube channel there.
mhm. Yeah, so I mean, that's the biggest difference is if you want to make sales right away, eBay is the way to go. But you're going to have to share some of the money with them. It's only fair because they're paying for all that traffic. And if you go your own way, it's going to be cheaper. However, you're not going to make money for, I don't know, maybe 3 months or so.
And that's and
Mm-hmm.
that's if you really stay after it hard every
Oh,
day
yeah.
to build up some traffic and build up
Yep.
some SEO, search engine some search engines to recognize you, that you're even alive out there. You have to be on it 24/7.
Yes. Yes. And you have to grow. You have to grow every single day. You have to grow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the reason we're talking about this is could be considered a plan B, in case things go crazy in your reselling business, and things just don't work out for you on the platforms that are available to us today. Or
Mm-hmm.
it could be plan A, long-term plan A, that you get on eBay, you get on Posh, you get on Etsy, all the ones that are out there. You learn e-commerce, and on the back side, you're building out a website. Maybe you have the website built for you, the basic structure of it, but you start going in and adding content, adding, obviously items to be sold and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly, as you're making money on your eBay or whatever platform you're using, but you're slowly building up that plan A website for down the road, or the just in case scenario. I think a lot of sellers that complain and fuss about eBay, especially newer sellers that don't really understand the internet in general,
Mm-hmm.
if they're not doing real well with some of these platforms, is that they don't realize, or how do I want to put this? You can do everything right, but you don't. At the end of the day, you don't own eBay. You don't own that platform. You're
Mm-hmm.
dependent on them to, like Chris said, traffic, getting, and that's the main thing, is getting you the traffic so that people can buy. It gives you a lot of other things too. It gives you a little bit of security on legalities. Gives you some security on just business operations in general. But it also gives you a lot of other opportunities of being a worldwide business, when you're shipping out international as well. And it saves you money that way too. I mean, we save a ton of money with shipping, because they have the big shipping discount to be a part of. So that you've got to factor in if you go and use your own site, is when you ship, unless you're doing something heavy duty, that's bulk item amount of items going out every day, where you could get some discounts from some of the shipping places, then yeah, you're going to pay the regular shipping fees and not have that discount too. But what we're looking at, where I was going with that, I got a little sidetracked, is what if eBay's been around for a good long time. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere. There's nothing but there's been a lot of changes over the last few years that have kind of made people scramble a little bit, and it could happen. eBay's a business just like anything else. Businesses go out of business every day. It could happen. So that's where your plan B for a website comes in. Got anything to add on that one, Chris?
I would recommend, before launching your own site, before going through all of that, if right now you're only selling on eBay, I would recommend you adding at least 2 more platforms before you go off to your own store. And the reason why I say that is because it's a lot easier to succeed on platforms like Mercari, Poshmark.
Posh, that was the other one. I couldn't think of it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are a few others out there. I'm not familiar with them because I don't sell on them, but like Etsy. A lot of people think you can only sell handmade items on Etsy. That's their brand. That's what they're known for. But you can also sell collectibles on Etsy. And as we know, especially in America, almost anything can be collectible.
Very true.
Yeah. So just remember that when you launch your own store, your own site, you're telling people, this is my site, this is my business, this is my base of operations. And you give it a good run for like 4 or 5 months, and then all of a sudden you disappear. It's like the boy who cried wolf. When you do that a few times, people will start ignoring you when you say, hey, this is my store. So you really need to be sure you can handle not only the cost of it, because you're going to have to buy traffic, you're going to have to advertise somewhere, but also the daily duties that go with it. And there's a lot more to running your own store than there is with, let's say, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, even Amazon. There's a lot to do when you have your own store.
Yeah, basically all you're doing with with the platforms we're talking about today. I just flipped over to my YouTube channel. Anybody joining us, I am look a little blurry and lagged out a little bit over there. So yeah, that's my internet. Living out on the farm. Sorry. But yeah, talking about those, really the only thing you're doing on those platforms is sourcing and listing and shipping. I mean, that's your day. You're not spending extra time with the advertising part of it, unless you're sharing stuff to a Pinterest account or your Facebook, or Facebook in general. If you're putting anything out on some social media, email marketing, you're not really doing a whole lot there. You can send email to people on eBay from. I don't know about the other platforms, if they have any kind of some setup on those. Generally, you would want to try to promote to bring in your own email subscribers from various areas, social media. So yeah, I mean, so much there's a ton of work now. How much of it can be hired out? Somebody, Chris, who doesn't do a whole lot of building websites and stuff anymore, but he's one of the people you would reach out to and say, Chris, what's it going to take for me to build a website and sell my stuff on it? And then what else do I got to do if I'm going to outsource everything? So that all I'm worried about is buying and selling, but I got to outsource everything else to make this website work. So what other stuff would I have to outsource that you know of, Chris?
If you have your own site, you're definitely going to need a social media manager. Yeah. There's no two ways about it. You know, maybe 10 years ago, you'd be able to afford to advertise on Google. But as it stands today, you won't be able to afford it. You won't be able to advertise on Google. So you're going to have to rely heavily on traffic from your social media accounts. And you're going to need a social media manager because, unlike before when you had your social media accounts didn't really need to grow by a certain percentage every day. But now that you have your own store, those accounts seriously need to grow a certain percentage every day in order to give your store enough traffic to be able to just support itself. You have to do all that just to break even.
And when you say growing every day, are we talking new followers or subscribers to your whatever social media you're using? Is
Yes,
that the kind of growth you're talking about?
yes, exactly.
So traffic for a hobby collectible store, you're gonna run advertising. Facebook would be still a hot spot to run. People of our age level and experience and stuff like that probably hang out on Facebook that would be interested in a lot of collectible type stuff. Of course, you've got your younger crowd who are collectible also. So, but many times they spend more time on other platforms, Instagram or can't think of a couple of them off the top of my head. um, so yeah, I mean, you're gonna be spread out across these social media platforms. Now, there's great ways. There's products out there. There's training courses out there that can help teach you how to, just like when we cross post from eBay to Posh or eBay to Macari or whatever. There's programs out there that will help teach you, and probably a lot of software too, to get the best bang for your buck out of your
Mm-hmm.
social media time. Chris works a lot with Pinterest. That's one of the social media platforms we really hadn't mentioned yet. Pinterest
Mm-hmm.
is a huge opportunity for selling items. A lot of people don't think of Pinterest as being a sales platform, but it really is. Um, Obviously, you can still get all your great hobby ideas and meal preparation ideas and exercising ideas and stuff like that. But there's usually always a product of some kind attached to that pin, whether static pin or video pin or whatever. So social media manager, because you can't do it all by yourself. You've still got to source and make sure you got your product coming in. You've still got to list inventory onto your site,
Mm-hmm.
just like you do with any of the other platforms. Plus adding on all this extra. Now I know he's Superman when it comes to this stuff. Chris has been doing. He takes care of his eBay business, him and his wife, and then he does a lot of his own social media and stuff. And are you still working on which way you want to go on building a new website for your business, Chris? Have you figured it out yet?
Yeah, I did figure it out, and I'm going to have to go with Shopify. And there's a reason, there's a big reason for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Shopify definitely, because Shopify is the only platform that I know of that integrates with Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.
Ooh,
Yeah,
there we
and
go.
if you're a reseller and you're reselling, just whatever it is you're reselling, those three platforms are great for promoting the items that you're selling. Seriously,
Yeah.
especially if you're creative.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
Shopify gives you, they don't have automatic traffic coming to them. They're set up in the search engines that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but once you set your Shopify store up, you still need to add content to it, blog, content on it to help build traffic. But
Mm-hmm.
it's easy, maybe a few steps easier to get through them than it would be out on a WordPress blog on your own. do you think, or yes or no?
Well, there's a couple of factors that you have to take into consideration. So, okay, so first you have to consider. So, it's funny you brought that up. If
I
you
lost you.
build your own store, okay,
Good. I got you.
when it comes to the SEO, you're probably going to want to use a plugin like Yoast. So you can gauge your keywords and you can count how many keywords are in your description and where that lies in their index.
Well, what was that you were using again? I didn't catch that.
Yoast.
Yoast. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yoast. It's a WordPress plugin.
Right.
Okay. So you're going to have to pay for that. And a lot of those shopping carts don't come preset with shipping. They say they do, but trust me, they don't, unless you have a ton of experience working with like USPS and FedEx. You're going to have to pay for a plugin. So these are expenses you're not counting on right out of the gate, because a lot of people will tell themselves, as I did, you could do it on your own, but you're going to spend a lot of time getting it done, time you just don't have. And of course, everything in the world seems to integrate with Shopify. Not a lot of things will integrate for free with WordPress. It's usually a third-party plugin, and it usually always comes with some type of cost. So these are things to take into consideration. Right out of the box, Shopify already has your shipping problem solved. It already has your SEO problem solved. It's got all the little slots and where you need to put what, and you can do your own keyword research just by Google AdWords. Things of that nature. Shopify out of the box is easier. It integrates better, and at the end of the day, it is cheaper. You just have to be serious about setting up your store and wanting to get those sales. $30 to $80 a month for your own store to do that. It's not a lot. I mean, my God, I pay eBay $60 a month, and that's just eBay's platform. That's not, you know what I'm saying? That's branded to them. It's not branded to me.
Right.
They're making all the profits on the shipping, plus they're charging me transaction fees. Well, you're going to pay transaction fees regardless, but they do have that final value fee that they charge. And if you purchase advertising through them like I do, at the end of the day, you're giving away anywhere from 20 to 30% of your sales to eBay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The comparisons there are pretty cool. And just so you all know, we're not trying to sell you a Shopify course right here.
No,
we're just talking about it. We're just talking about the different options you have as a reseller or e-commerce person. And I agree. I totally agree with Chris. I've used Shopify before. I've never built one out enough to be able to sell anything off of it. It was this kind of a hobby thing in the background to play with every now and then. But when I really got to think about it, and Chris has built his own sites, and used some of the plugins and stuff he's talking about for the shopping carts, and has sold stuff from his websites. I've never been able to sell anything from my websites. I get them started, but I really don't take them to the next step of getting product made available to sell stuff. But in the long term, I've kind of myself had kind of turned away from the idea of building doing something else extra outside of eBay, because eBay does take up a ton of my time. And on top of my other, side hustles, whatever you want to call it, that we do. So adding on another something for me, very time consuming. So if you're going to get Shopify, there again are programs and courses out there that you can look into purchase to help you get a Shopify store set up. Go out and find a computer person like Chris who knows his way on the backside of different platforms. And you may have to invest a little money there to have somebody help get you started. And or you even get to a point, and this is kind of, hey, my screen keeps going off. Come on, there you go. Even with eBay, if you build eBay as a business situation, source a lot of your stuff on eBay. You can outsource the listing. Some people even outsource some of the sourcing. Picture making, possibly you could hire somebody to come in and take the pictures for you, which can free up a lot of your time to do other things. So you're building up a business. Shopify would be no different, where you would be paying somebody to maintain your store. And then, as we talked about earlier, your advertising, your social media, all still has to be done. It's a little easier with Shopify, like Chris was saying, that I don't know, kind of a template type situation you've got there where you're just filling in the blanks to get everything done. But you still got to get out there and be on social media and pay and do some paid advertising, especially when you get started, just a foothold to get some of that traffic coming to you. Now, I haven't looked at Shopify's analytics real hard, Chris. Are they pretty good at being able to see what kind of traffic to them on a daily basis? Have you got that far with it yet?
Yeah, they are actually. The way their stores are set up, the way their templates are made, they understand what the search box, what they're looking for. So it's way easier to get traffic with a platform like Shopify than it would be on your own, especially since on your own, now, don't get me wrong, you might be someone who has 15 years of SEO experience. Okay, so apart from those that have that, when you're on your own, it's all trial and error. It's a lot of trial and error and figuring stuff out and taking a bunch of classes. You're probably going to have to pay for a lot of that training. So, with Shopify, it's much easier. Shopify has an affiliate program, which means you literally have thousands of people on YouTube in a bunch of different language teaching you not only how to use Shopify, but also how to get the most out of it. And a lot of those videos are completely free because they're trying to entice you to join under their link. And those videos, they're available. You don't have to join under anyone's link to benefit from the information that's available to you. So yeah. Definitely Shopify.
Yeah. I like that. I'm glad you were able to take the time to, and I that's what I always love about Chris, is he's really good at exploring platforms and stuff. Where I'm the dark kind of guy. It's like, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and set it up and see what happens. But now Chris takes the time to figure this stuff out and know the better route to take. Now, Chris, you and I both have a blog at this time, WordPress blogs. They're kind of there for our purpose of just sharing content about the businesses that we work with. With that, if somebody already had a blog, if they had some traffic to their blog, some content on there, and wanted to add on the shop art so that they could share their product like that as well, does that make sense to do that, to add it on to something that you've already got in place, or should you stay just e-commerce only? Shopify would be or it could be something else, but since we're talking about Shopify, it would be better to have. Should you have one with everything together, or do you think you should have the two? Because your blog does a few things different.
Okay, so here's the thing. There are going to be people out there who are going to swear by both ways because both ways work. If you have the type of personality where everything has to match, everything has to represent one niche, and that's what you're comfortable with, then your website is going to appeal to people just like you. And there's millions of you out there, so don't even worry about that. But then there's people like me who have a bunch of different things going on inside of my head at one time. So my site kind of will reflect that. I believe if you have an e-commerce blog and you're talking about email marketing, content marketing, whatever, I don't see anything wrong with also talking about reselling. Not only is it a great way to make money, but it's a great way to finance your next step in your business. And having your store, like your eBay store, if you got that, or maybe you've already jumped on the Shopify thing, you should have a little Shopify widget or eBay widget, Poshmark, whatever platform you're selling on, that widget should be on your blog, somewhere on your blog. The front page, maybe on some of the articles that talk about stuff, but it should be there and it should represent maybe like your last 10 newest items you just posted. Because, and I'm going to say this, when you tell people about what you're selling, you're going to be surprised as to who buys what from you. Because I sure am. A lot of times I'm very surprised. It's kind of crazy. It really is.
Yeah, totally agree with that. The blog situation, if you already have one or have thought about having a blog, talking about your, whether you're an expert, just passing on that information, or if you're just kind of doing a follow me and as we grow kind of a setup, which is kind of more what I do with a blog. But the blog, then, that's you're constantly working on that. That's also going to help drive, as Chris, it's going to help drive traffic to your e-commerce store. Whether your e-commerce store is an eBay or Shopify or Posh or whatever, you're going to, you'll probably have some blog posts. You'll have advertisers in the itself. All kinds of different ways with your blog to help move traffic to your store where they can hear what your goods and services are. You don't have to sell it from the blog. Your traffic from the blog over to your e-commerce store. And you mentioned earlier, Chris, when we were talking about when we started talking about this, to have your base of operations. In many cases, online marketing, your blog is your base of operations. Yes, you're maintaining your eBay store and doing everything there, but your blog is your base of operations, that you can start talking about what's going on next, what's new, what's hot, whatever you're the expert in, and again, drive that traffic, push that traffic out to your store or other social media as needed. So I think that's a huge win, to have both, but it's a time management thing again, and don't get any expectations that if you build a blog out that you're gonna, get, like a millionaire overnight kind of situation. That's not what they're there for. They're there to steadily, progressively build over time. As your content builds up, you become more searchable, you become more findable, and then it can help do those things over time. It's definitely not an overnight success story when you start a blog.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. There's no such thing as overnight success. It doesn't exist.
I mean, yeah, it's fun to find an item to sell and you stick it on eBay and it's sold within a couple hours and it was a $500 item or something like that. Sure, that happens on occasion. But yeah, even building out your eBay business. I mean, I've been doing it. I've been on eBay part-time, miscellaneous, messing around since 2009. Didn't really get real serious about eBay until about a year ago to start trying to build it up to be an actual business. So, it's a time thing. You just got to be patient. You got to stay at it. Yes, you're going to run into all these glitches and things that you hear people talking about, and even that we have talked about. So yeah, looking ahead 5 years and saying, okay, what if I decide I don't want to do the platforms anymore? I want to have my own website, my own thing going on. And if the other platforms are still around to help, great.
Mm-hmm.
These are some options for you to think about. The blogs, the adding on a shopping cart to your blogs, possibly a platform like Shopify. How long has Shopify been around? They've been pretty lengthy business time, haven't they? I would say
They've been around, I think, for almost as long as e-commerce. Let me ask Google. 2006.
2006. Wow.
That's the year I got out of the military. That's funny.
The year you got out?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I can't believe we're sitting here. You said talk about Y2K for people. Some people know what Y2K is,
Mm-hmm.
and to think back that was 23 years ago already. It's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
We're showing our age on this one, that we were around doing things at that time. Doing crazy
We were around
things
before that time.
Well, yeah, we were around long before that time, but I mean, just being online and online business type situation stuff. So crazy.
Shoot, we're so old. We used to watch a show called Space, 1999.
Yes,
remember
we did.
that?
Oh yeah, one of my favorites for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There are several shows that had futuristic dates, and when we got to that date, it's like, okay, so where's all our stuff at that we wanted to see from the TV shows that we watched?
Yep.
We still don't have simple flying cars.
Nope.
We don't have simple, easy. I mean, we have moved up into the, hey, let's take the public into space. We've gotten that far, which is kind of cool. But yeah, we're not there yet. Probably yet.
Yeah, probably not.
Hopefully any of our younger viewers will maybe get to see that stuff at some point. So
honestly,
right. Well, I think we probably go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't think a flying car is actually practical. Could you imagine?
Yeah, it'd be scary.
It'd be scary.
I mean, it's scary enough thinking about the cars that they do have now that are driving themselves.
Yep, that freaks me out because, holy crap, they've got to have error correcting code on top of error correcting code. It's wow.
Yeah, there's too many variables for me to think that that's really a good thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's here. True. The technology is here. They are doing it, and there are vehicles out there that can drive themselves. Now, I do like the ones that can park themselves. I think that's pretty cool.
It is, actually. I mean, it really, because there are people out there, they can't park to save their life.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. I don't know, with the distractions of people driving now and their cell phones and everything else that you can be distracted by driving, if they can really perfect the self-driving vehicles, and I think they will. I think it's, in the next 10, 15 years, you're really going to see more and more and more of that out there. But I think that part of it would at least cut down on the distracted driving, because you're not driving. You can go ahead and be distracted and not have to worry about it.
That's true.
Maybe.
That's very true. That's interesting. You could even be drunk and not even worry about it.
There you go. You got your own Uber to take you home.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny if the self-driving car reduces like automobile accidents by a ridiculous number, by like 80%? Wouldn't that be insane?
Yeah, it would. I think that's very possible. If they can make sure that the self-driving is pretty well perfected, that it's going to be. I'm thinking of Knight Rider. That's another old show that a lot of people probably, or a lot of our younger viewers wouldn't know. But you got your watch on. You come out of the bar, you come out of whatever. Hey, come pick me up, and the car comes to you, and you go, and away you go. That'd be fun.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, let's no, seriously. I know people are going to watch this, and they're going to be new. They're going to be newer sellers, and they're going to be hobby sellers who been selling for a few years and for them it's a hobby. If your store is not at least grossing $1,000 a month on a steady basis, you do not need to be thinking about selling on other platforms or your own store or a Shopify store on like Pinterest. Put all of that out of your head. You need to make at least $1,000 a month. Otherwise, all of this is just going to contribute to your failing.
Yeah, I'm sure there are probably some hobby sellers out there that use the other types of sites. But yeah, if you're really wanting to take, you're a new seller coming in, you really want to build, or you're a hobby seller like myself that I used to be, and want to really start turning it into a business, then yeah, you're fine where you're at. Learn, continue the platform where you're at, set your goals on that platform. The whole point of bringing up this conversation for me was just kind of I had a couple of the other sellers I was listening to on a pod. Well, they were podcasts, but they were just live video, just like we were doing. We're talking about the fact that they don't see themselves doing anything different other than adding on other platforms like Posh or Macari or whatever, already established platforms for their business. eBay was always going to be there for them. And that just kind of popped in my head that, well, what if eBay's not there for you? What if something goes crazy and eBay disappears? They just shut down. Business is shut down every day. So have a plan B, on the back burner. Just, make sure, you understand as you become a better and bigger seller on eBay, that there are other options out there. But yeah, like Chris said, don't make a move yet until you're really, really solid as a business on the platform that you're on right now. Then you can start looking at the other options to plan for that possible situation down the road. So there's a lot of eBay sellers that wake up and their account got shut down for some silly reason. That's our worst fear. We screwed up somewhere and didn't know we screwed up, and eBay says you're done. So you pivot, as they say. You pivot. We're going to pivot to. So you do want to kind of, you want to have that plan B just kind of simmering back there, but just to know it's there, it's available. But don't spend a whole lot of time on it, because we need to focus on what we're doing right here, right now.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, and don't think that losing your eBay store can't happen to you, because I assure you it can. It almost happened to me. So if it happened to me, it could happen to you.
Yep, and it's happened to some really big sellers, $1 million sellers out there. Something got out of whack, and eBay's policy said, we're done. So crazy stuff.
And there's no appeals process either. When they target you, there's no appeals process.
Once you're done, you're done.
Yep.
I think we covered that pretty well today, Chris. I need to get I've had kind of an unproductive morning, and I'm going to be rushing to get stuff done again. So,
brother, I'm right there with you. Right now, this video that we're doing is the most constructive thing I have done all morning.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's just been one of those days. I don't know why, but that's how it rolls sometimes.
Yep.
All right, man. So let's go ahead and get on out of here. Thanks for watching. Anybody that catches this recorded side, I didn't see anybody come into the chat on anything, but yeah, make sure to find us and subscribe if you haven't. If you like this kind of content, Chris and I are here most every Tuesday around 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific, and we'll just see what comes up for next week, what we can talk about. So until next time, happy selling.
Bye-bye, everybody.